That was a powerful video, isn't it? Hello and welcome everyone. This is Rashmi from Design Hill and your host for the day. I hope everyone is doing great, staying safe, and taking necessary precautions. Thank you for joining us today in this AMA session, wherein we are going to talk about how to use Twitter to make your business successful. We would love to know where you're joining us from, so do let us know that in the chat section. People have started commenting already. Wonderful. So today's event is brought to you by Design Hill, which is the world's leading creative marketplace that caters to the creative needs of businesses and individuals alike who can source high quality designs and buy unique products created by independent artists through its print on demand marketplace, which is called Print Shop by Design Hill. Um, Moving ahead, let me introduce our speaker for the day. We have Nikki Kroll with us. Nikki is an internationally recognized and a top social media marketing influencer. She is passionate about inspiring and empowering businesses to use social media to grow. She uses her background in corporate marketing and sales and a decade of social media experience to help companies integrate social media into their own marketing and business strategies. She's the author of two books, the latest one being Converting Conversation to Customers, the essential guide to social media sales success. Nikki, thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you here with us. Would you like to go ahead and say hi to the audience as well?
Hello, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to having the audience's questions. So please ask questions. If you've got questions, I would love to hear them. I just want to say hi. I've seen somebody from the UK, people from America, Canada, Jamaica. It's a truly international group of people that I can see. I don't know who else is here. I've been just trying to keep my eye on the chat as it's been going through. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, yes. I'm sure it is going to be a lot of fun and a lot of interesting points that we're going to touch upon today. And thanks once again, everyone, for responding to the chat and joining us. And I hope you'll have a good time. So before we move forward, I have quick announcements to make. So we will be giving away certificates to the attendees who will stick to the session till the end. So make sure you stay with us. Also, you can take the screenshot of this event and post it on your Twitter. Today, we are going to talk about how to use Twitter to make your business successful. So let's get started with that. Take a photo and tweet about this event or this AMA session. Use hashtag Designer Events and tag Designer DH and Nikki Kryl, whose Twitter handle will be in the chat section. One lucky winner will have a chance to win a print shop gift card worth $50. Also, we will be sharing an exclusive coupon code with everyone at the end of the session, by using which you can avail 15% off on Design Hill contest service, and you can get any kind of design that you want for your business. So make sure you stick with us till the end of the session, right? So that was few announcements that I had to make. Now, before we start the session, let's quickly look at what Design Hill is all about.
Looking to get your boss to remember your name? Head to the world's #1 creative marketplace, Design Hill.
When my company promoted me to head up our latest real estate development project, I was excited, then anxious, then petrified. How was I going to hire the team, get the designs completed, and design beautiful presentation materials on our lean budget while impressing my bosses, some of whom are still learning my name?
Good job, Mitch.
My name's Lawrence. That's why I went to Design Hill and got the design help I needed that fit within my company's brand guidelines. The process was simple. Design Hill's design contest ensured I'd get a ton of results I'd love. Start by picking a number of designs that inspire you. This one's good, and that one. This one speaks to me. Then share some information about the project. Lastly, pick a package that fits your budget. Do you just want a logo, or do you want it all? Then, boom. I got more than 60 custom design options to choose from, as well as all the other graphic design assets I wanted. And it's all backed by Design Hill's 100% money-back guarantee. If I don't find a design I like, I get my money back. You can't lose. Now I have what I need to make a splash at my meetings, with everything from business cards, pamphlets, posters, and more. It's real.
Let the world know it's real and build your brand with Design Hill.
All right, that was about Design Hill, and now we are all set to start the session with Nikki. We are looking forward to your participation, so make sure you put your questions in the question section, and we will take up all the questions in the last 15 minutes of the session. So, Nikki, we are all set. Let's get started. I'll start with the first question that I have, and the question is like every social media platform comes with its own USPs, right? It helps business in one or the other way.
Mm.
Since we are talking about Twitter today, how is Twitter different from other social media platforms as a marketing channel, and what benefit does it brings to the businesses?
Okay. What I really like about Twitter is that you can actually, it doesn't cost. Now, I think if you're on Facebook or Instagram, you need to pay for advertising to be seen. Whereas on Twitter, you can still do a lot of things without spending advertising bucks to actually get seen and get noticed. I think Twitter is probably something that you want to use together with another platform. So for business to business, I normally recommend doing LinkedIn and Twitter. If you've business to consumers, probably I would say Facebook and Instagram, but also Twitter will help you to get business. So what I like about it is it's short, it's brief, it moves fast, so it's very topical. You find people chatting about all sorts of things, and you get an unfiltered view. If you ask any question, there's normally a few people who will dive in and give you an answer, and there's no gatekeepers, so you can actually talk to anybody about anything that you want to, which I really, really like about Twitter.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nikki. And I think one of the most important part of choosing a marketing platform is where your audience is, right? Somebody, as we all know that, you know, the young audience is on Instagram. Someone who want to capture to the audience having 18 to 25, they will either, you know, use TikTok as a marketing platform or Instagram as a marketing platform. So what kind of audience is there on Twitter? What kind of businesses use Twitter as their main marketing channel? If you can throw some light on that.
Okay, so Twitter probably has the biggest mix of different people. As a small business myself, okay, I've built up lots of relationships with other small businesses, so I know that they are there and they're talking to each other. You've got big brands who are there, but you might have somebody who is tweeting on their behalf. But most people know that they're going to get a better response if they speak directly on Twitter versus if they make a phone call or send an email. So lots of people use Twitter for customer service because you have that conversation. But really, you can find all types of businesses and all age groups. It's got a big spread of age groups. What I especially like is if people are watching a TV program or at an event, they often go onto Twitter to talk about it. So they will talk live about the event that they're watching or live about the TV program they're watching, or if they're watching Netflix or whatever, it's not necessarily live. So you get live, immediate response to events, and most news stories still break on Twitter. So you can really find out what's going on in the world by looking on Twitter and doing some research. And sometimes I've found out something that's happened locally because I've seen a hashtag about an event local to me, and I went onto Twitter to find out what the story that was breaking was all about, because that's what people do. They talk on Twitter, news breaks on Twitter.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nikki. Moving ahead to the next question, let's burst some myths about Twitter. One of the things that I read was one of the myths that I came to know was a lot of people used to say that jumping on trending topics is essential to get that recognition on Twitter, right? So, and I'm sure you know, I was actually reading an article, and there were a lot of these things that were there. So, can you talk about some of these myths that people have when it comes to Twitter as a marketing platform?
Okay, so some people think of Twitter as a one-way tool. So they're just using it to broadcast. And you see this when companies have an automatic, so maybe their blog goes automatically onto Twitter and they're not interacting with people, or they just have scheduled posts and there's no conversation going on, okay? So they don't actually they're missing out because they just think it's a broadcasting tool. So the myth is, yes, it is a broadcasting tool, but it's really about conversation and speaking to people. But the myth that you're talking about, I call it hashjacking. I know I'm not the first person who's come up with that word, hashjacking. So many brands have got themselves into trouble because they've seen a trend going on, so a hashtag that is trending, and they will jump onto it without actually looking at what that hashtag is about. A very famous one was, I think, there was an Egyptian one, and a fashion brand decided to use a particular hashtag, and it was very inappropriate, and they had so much negative press that it wasn't worth getting onto that. So I would be very cautious about trending hashtags. Of course, you can use trending hashtags, but always, before you use a trending hashtag, make sure you read up, see what people are talking about, because sometimes brands have got it completely wrong because they see something that's trending and they jump straight onto it. So it's not that you can't ever use trending hashtags, but be very, very cautious when you do that. And obviously, if it's something that is a natural disaster or something where people's lives are lost, do not use it. Okay, it will give you so much bad publicity. It's not worth it. Another of the myths that people often think of, and I know I'm sure that somebody will ask the question, is how many hashtags to use. And a lot of people think the more hashtags you use, the more visible you are. All research has shown that you can use 1 or 2 to get more visibility, but as soon as you use more than 2 hashtags, your engagement rate actually drops quite dramatically. So don't abuse hashtags, either by hashtagging them, or it looks spammy if your tweet is full of hashtags. I'm just trying to think what other myths there are. There are so many myths that I've been told. If somebody says to you the exact time that you should be tweeting, okay, that is also a myth. There is nobody who can tell you exactly what time. There are times that are better for you to be tweeting as a business than other times. But if you read an article and it says 3 p.m. on a Wednesday, that is just somebody did a bit of research and that's what it showed for their country at a particular time. It doesn't mean it's right for your business. Okay, so just be aware of what you read when people give general ideas of Twitter. I love Twitter because it's a conversation. Okay, do you have so I could go on to so many different things talking about it. Okay.
Yeah, so you want to share more myths or anything else in terms of things that people should not think about when it comes to Twitter, or should I move to the next question?
I think if you move to the next question, because I will probably give you some more myths as I think of them, because there are so many things that people give me information that I'm sure is not correct, that I know is not correct.
Absolutely. So Nikki, in the you just talked about having conversation, and building a sort of community through Twitter, right? And as you also have a book, you have written a book around, converting conversation to sales to customers, basically. So what approach do you follow when it comes to, because the biggest problem that small business usually faces is to find customers. Right. So, what your approach has been on Twitter to find clients for yourself? What kind of conversation do you do? How active you are there? Can you throw some light on that?
Okay, so to find conversations, I would recommend for a lot of small businesses is to find a Twitter chat. So that's an hour put aside. I think most people know what Twitter chat is. Can you just let me know if you don't know what it is, and I'll go into more detail.
It would be great if you can share a bit about Twitter chat, because I am not sure of it myself.
Okay. So Twitter chat hashtags were created on Twitter as a way of people being able to talk about a particular topic. Okay, so they were first created on Twitter because at that stage, tweets were only 140 characters. So you didn't want to say, let's say there was a volcano erupting. You wouldn't want to say in each tweet, this is what I'm talking about, the volcano that's erupting, because it would take up all your characters. So people quickly started using hashtags, which at that stage were not clickable, but then they became clickable. So what happens now is you can click on hashtags and you can see all the conversations that people are having using their particular hashtags. Okay, so you can do that automatically, but there are certain times where Twitter chats are organized, and there are Twitter chats going on all over the time. Like I'm in marketing. A lot of the marketing ones are in America, so they might not suit me because they're very late at night, and I don't want to be up at 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm sorry, not the right time for me. Okay, so but there are Twitter chats on almost every subject you can think of in the world, and it's a time that's allocated. So they'll say it's at a certain time. It's normally an hour, and during that time, people get together on Twitter and they have a conversation using that hashtag. Okay, so that is a great way if you get onto it, because you're starting to speak to real people in real time who you know are there, and you can interact and have conversations. I found also when I got started, by being on Twitter at a certain time, I came across the same people, because at that stage when I started Twitter over 10 years ago, I had children and I was doing the school run. So I'd drop them off at school, and then I would go onto Twitter as soon as I got back. And there was always a similar group of people, a lot of them small business owners, who had done exactly the same thing. So immediately you start having conversations with people who are always there at the same time. And that's quite nice, because then you start feeling as though you're part of the community. Okay, but generally you can look up anybody. My daughter, for a friend's present, she actually went onto Twitter and found the authors of her friend's favorite authors. And she went onto their Twitter accounts and spoke to them directly, and managed to organize for them to send greetings, birthday greetings. So her friend had cards and things from her favorite authors. She was really, really touched with that. So I can't guarantee that you could speak to Richard Branson. He may or may not be tweeting. I know you probably, Donald Trump used to tweet, so you never know, like, who you might end up speaking to directly. So there are people that you can speak to directly on Twitter who will have conversations. I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, and he has actually sent me, like, I've sent a message or spoken about him, and he's actually sent me a little video clip, which, like I said, oh, thank you, Nikki. It's like, I was blown away that somebody that busy found the time to actually interact with me. And so I will always be a fan and love him to death, no matter what he does, because he took that time to have a conversation with me. So I think the thing is, if you go into Twitter and you're just putting content out because you feel that you should, and that's what you must do, it can be a bit soul destroying, because then you're just watching how many people have seen it, who's interacted. When you start finding people to have conversations with, that's when things start happening. And often I will take people from Twitter, so start a conversation on Twitter, and then maybe connect with them on LinkedIn and have a more serious conversation on LinkedIn via message on there. Nobody has not accepted my LinkedIn connection when I've spoken to them first on Twitter. Okay, so it's remembering they are human beings. I know some of it's automated, and there are what are called bots, which are automated things going out. A lot of stuff is just scheduled, so there's nobody really paying attention. But there are lots of human beings that are having real conversations. And as a business, you will get far more business if you concentrate on finding those people and talking to them directly.
I literally loved the insight that you shared with us, Nikki, about having conversation. You talked about, going live at one time wherein you feel like a lot of people would be talking about a certain topic. It's great, and a lot of things I was not aware of, and I think I'll start implementing it once the session is over. So I'm sure I am thoroughly loving it. I'm sure audience is also enjoying it equally. Guys, if you have questions, just repeating myself again, make sure you put your questions in the questions tab so that we don't miss them in the chat. It might get lost between the conversation there. So thank you so much, Nikki, to answer that question. It was really insightful. Moving ahead to the next question. As Twitter is known for its precision, you have to say the right thing in the limited words. How can a business learn the art of precision and optimizing their business descriptor? If you can talk about that.
Okay, so okay, brevity. Okay, you've now got 240 characters, which is more, it's double the amount that you used to have. And a lot of people felt very restricted by 120, but I used to love it because it forces you to think about exactly what you want to say. And you have to cut out all the bits that are immaterial. People, the Twitter feed, if you've got a relative large number of people that you follow, the Twitter feed moves very fast. So tweets really need to be seen and obvious. If somebody reads it quickly, it must catch somebody's attention within less than a second, okay? So you need to be succinct and as brief as possible. Since they've increased the number of characters, which I think they did because of certain languages is harder to have a restricted number of characters. So for example, German, they have lots of words strung together. So it is very difficult to get it across in a short way, okay? But since they've increased the number, they've doubled the amount of characters, the average number of characters still being used are only about 33, okay? So most people do not use the full limit of the characters. So you've got a lot more space than you think you have within that. But I would say what you want to do is, I will sometimes write a tweet and then I will edit it. Okay, so I will go, okay, how can I say that in a clearer, more precise way that gets my message across as succinctly and as briefly as possible? Because people will only take like a few seconds. And obviously, if you can put it in a picture, you will get more response. In fact, I think it's 3 times as much engagement when you have a photograph or picture. It's 6 times as much engagement if you add a GIF. Yes, it's a GIF or a GIF. GIF or GIF. I keep on getting it wrong.
Some people call it GIF, some people call it GIF, so it's fine.
I know, it's like one of them, but I keep on saying the wrong one. So sometimes I say it correctly and sometimes I don't. Okay, but Twitter has got lots of little GIFs that you can choose from. Okay, so they've got a whole library of little GIFs. So it's very easy to add something appropriate, which makes people smile. If you can make people smile, you get a better result, okay? If you give people, I suppose, warm fuzzies, whatever it's called. So if people feel as though they're being acknowledged, if they're being heard, if you make them smile, they will think more positively about you, okay? And also, if you need to say something longer, you can always add a video clip, and video has 9 times as much engagement. And I've seen some brilliant examples of people replying with a video rather than, just replying in text. Okay, so it's short, which is good, okay, because you need to be able to say what you want as clearly as possible. Do not think in paragraphs, just think one bit of information per tweet, okay? So don't complicate things, keep things as simple so that people can see. You can always send out another tweet later with more information, or you can add a picture which has got information in there, okay? So I think it's a good thing. It's right. Sometimes you can write a paragraph if you need to, and you can string tweets together if you want to write, like if you really want to let things off your chest, okay? You can write almost a story in short little lines. But at one stage there was a trend of like 6-word stories, which is just saying a story in 6 words. So it's very powerful when you keep things brief. So I think it's good. I think it's brilliant that Twitter has that versus long essays that you find on other social media platforms.
Wonderful, wonderful. I hope everyone is taking notes. I am myself getting to learn a lot of stuff. So videos perform the best, as Nikki mentioned, and if not videos, then GIFs or a picture. That gets the highest reach. Thank you so much, Nikki, for that, for sharing that insight. All right. So moving ahead with the next question, we have seen that influencer marketing is very much in trends these days. A lot of businesses are using it to promote their businesses via influencers. Please throw some light on influencer marketing via Twitter. Which type of business should go for it?
Okay, so you get big influencers. Okay, so the ones who got millions of followers and things like that. But I think for a lot of businesses, and if there are small businesses on the call, I would concentrate on micro influencers. So quite often you've got people who might not have a super large number of followers, but whenever they tweet something, they get a lot of interaction. So people are having conversations with them. And the only way you're going to find those people is by having a look at their tweets and replies and see what conversations they're having on that particular one. Certain people will pop up if you do searches for certain words. Okay, so if you do a search on Twitter for words, you will have, and you look under people, Twitter will rank who they think is more influential in that particular market. So you can actually search by keywords on Twitter. Twitter is this lovely big search engine where you can search for absolutely everything. You can look for particular phrases that people are using. So to get that exact phrase or the particular words that people might be using. So it's good with that. There's things like journal request. Have you heard of journal request? This is where journalists, they use the hashtag journal request, or there's sometimes journal help. And there are a few other hashtags. I know it's big in the UK. I don't know what it's like in the USA. I think it's also, they use journal requests. I don't know about other parts of the world. Okay. But what it is you'll find journalists who are looking for particular stories. Okay. And so if you might have a chance to get onto that story, but also you can look at how many people, who are they talking to? Who are they following? Because journalists will be following people they think are influential in the market. Okay. You can always ask the question of who's the best person to speak to about a particular topic, or who knows the best, or who do you respect the most? But I wouldn't just look at pure number of followers at all. You want to see how people interact with those people before you use them. And if you form a human to human relationship with that person, they are likely to do things for you. I met somebody who's a dear friend now. She was starting up and she was giving away little purses. She produces handbags and makes purses. And she said, okay, the next 10 people who follow me, I'll give them a free purse. So I said, I'll follow you. Her sending me a little purse that she made it was the start of a very long, I've known her for over a decade. We've done business together. I'm a big fan. I've got far too many handbags from her. It's like she's used me for consulting. She's introduced me to people. So that little relationship of somebody saying, I need some followers and I'll give a little purse, ended up being a full-time relationship. And the other people that I've met who've been very influential in my life because I had a conversation with them. So yes, if you're a big business and you've got lots of marketing bucks to spend, you can go for people with a very high number of followers, you might not get the same traction. Sometimes it's smaller people who've got a group a group of people who pay attention to them, who actually might be more influential for you. Then people will pay attention to what they say. If they recommend something, they will listen, and they may do it as a favor to you because they like you, okay, rather than needing to pay them to do something. Because most of the people I recommend is because I actually believe in them, or I've had a conversation with them, or, you know, because I know what they do and I've been watching what they do, rather than because anybody's paid me to do that.
Wonderful. So the key takeaway for me was having conversation or having an engaged person, choosing that person as an influencer is much better than, you know, just looking at the number of followers and somebody who is not engaged with, not engaging with his or her audience at all on a regular basis. So wonderful, wonderful. So everyone, I hope you all are enjoying this session. But before we move forward, I would like to give a quick shout out to Design Hill for organizing this session. Stay tuned and we will be right back to hear more from Nikki.
Claromatics is a full-service video agency based around video production. We created a brand that fit our identity at the time, but as we've evolved as a company, we found that that original brand didn't quite fit our aspirations anymore. Finding a partner to rebrand your entire company takes a lot of time and effort. Finding Design Hill was an incredible lifeline. Design Hill offers a money-back guarantee. If we don't like any of the designs, we get all of our money back. The stuff that we ended up with were well beyond what we had been seeing on other creative services platforms. After creating a simple design brief by answering some questions created by Design Hill, we posted, and within a few days, we had over 250 entries. Design Hill's platform made it easy to communicate with all the potential designers. Eventually, we picked a winner. In addition to a logo, our designer also created a letterhead, business cards, and banners for all of our social media platforms. With Design Hill's help, we now have a brand that meets our aspirations. We're ready for the future and everything that it's here to bring.
All right, we are back after a short break. I hope everyone is enjoying the session and answering to the polls and putting the questions in the question section. And I hope you guys are tweeting about the session as well and using the hashtag and tagging Nikki and DesignHill at the same time. So Nikki, moving forward, we often, come across this word which is called viral. So everyone is behind viral content. Everyone, all the campaigns that startups or businesses are running, everyone want them to go viral, right? So let's talk about it a bit. I mean, anything that you have to share when it comes to coming up with viral content, how to crack that virality, what causes a tweet or a message to go viral, and what are the different situations? How should a business actually aim for virality, or should it be organic? Anything on those lines that you'd like to share?
Okay. So I've got quite strong opinions about this. Okay. I just want to tell a little story. There's it was a great example that I heard from English. He describes himself as a crime fighter who's become a crime writer. Okay, so David Vidicett, I think. I probably mispronounced his name dreadfully. I apologize for that. He had a decent number of followers. He was going into a chat, or like he was going to be on the stage talking about his book. And he thought, oh, I haven't actually done anything soft and sweet. Okay. So he thought, I better just post, let me find something. He saw this cute little ducks being rescued. So there were little ducks, and people caught the little ducklings as they jumped off the ledge. So mother ducks are really bad mothers. they have nests in all the wrong places. But anyhow, so it was a cute little one of people rescuing these ducks when they're hatched out. They caught the ducklings and they were taken to safety. Really sweet video. He didn't think anything of it, posted it on his Twitter, switched off his phone because he was you know, in a conversation with a lot of people. And when he switched his phone back on, it went nuts. Okay. Within 2 hours, he had 100,000 retweets of his content. And what had happened was some big influencers in the Twitterati, shall we call them, had retweeted with a comment. So because like people like, well, it's Stephen Fry, Ron Howard, who's a famous director, William Baldwin, there's a few big names had retweeted the video. And then people started talking about the video, that maybe it was a fake video, and there was a lot of conversation about it. It had over 24 million views of the video, I believe. I'm just trying to think of exact figures. It was a ridiculous number of views and impressions. He was contacted about the media because it did a viral tweet. So the question, and I'd like people to answer in the chat, please, how much extra traffic do you think he got to his website, or increases in book sales he got because of that tweet? Okay, so guess your best guess, please. So just in percentages, what do you think the percentage increase was to his website or increase in book sales? Okay, we've got 85%. Any more takers? 100%. Good. Any more? So come on, just put a figure in. Well, I'll give you the answer in a minute. Okay. Okay, a few more. I'd like a few more. 1,000. Oh, Anisha, you got from 100 to 1,000, 75%. Okay, okay. Are you ready? Should I give you an answer? 75% we got. Okay, any more takers on how much? Okay, I feel as though I'm an auctioneer. Yeah. Okay, how much increase did he get to his website or increase in book sales? 0%. Okay. He had a viral tweet which had the most ridiculous number of impressions. People were talking about it, went in the media, didn't do anything for his business. Okay. It's exciting if something goes viral, but I've heard of a business and they said they hashtag that they did had gone viral. It was nothing to do with his business. Okay. It had no impact on their business. Okay. So it's exciting if everybody picks it up, and it can go nuts. And yes, it can have a financial impact. You know, like that it can crash websites if it is targeted. But there is no point in chasing something for the sake of being popular. That's about ego. Okay. It has to be connected with your business, and it has to be related to your business. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time and energy. Okay. So there are lots of people who will claim they can make things viral. There are things that you can play the game. Okay. But I'm not sure that is necessarily going to bring you extra business. So yes, you can play the game. You can have 100 accounts retweeting things and doing all sorts of things, which are not great. Okay, it's not like Twitter doesn't like you doing these things, so you might be suspended for it. Okay, but ultimately, you have to think about: is this about my business? What will it do? What impact will it have on my business? Because if you suddenly have an increase and your website crashes, you have lost those sales, and you may not have access to your website for a few days. So you've lost that business by going viral. So I'm very cautious about anybody who claims that they have the magic ingredients to make something go viral. Okay. And also I challenge you about why you want something to go viral. Okay. You can spread the news, and it's great if it is on topic and people are talking about your business. Maybe somebody's recommended you, and then that becomes viral, but you didn't control that. Okay. So I think you know my impression. So I'm not going to give you a magic ingredient. I'm sorry for being viral. I'm just going to say, be cautious and think about it. Is it about ego, or is it about your business?
That was a great example, Nikki, and I'm sure by listening to the example that you gave, a lot of people will have a different point of view, about going viral and whether they should do it organically or they should, keep their heads on by, creating constant content with an aim of going viral. So that was pretty helpful. All
Okay.
right. I have few questions as well in the chat section, in the questions section. So I'll come to them in next 5 to 7 minutes. In the meantime, guys, if you have more questions, make sure you put your questions there. We don't want to miss any questions. So please do that. So Nikki, having an optimized Twitter business profile is really important to sort of get that reach, or to make that first impression at the first place. So what are some of your tips that you would like to share with businesses out there who are probably new in this thing, and how can they optimize their Twitter business profile?
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is in your bio, you've got a limited number of characters, but if somebody reads your bio, they need to know immediately what your business is about. Okay. Obviously, if it's just a personal account, you can say, like to drink a glass of wine, and 10 chocolates before bedtime. That's up to you. Okay. But if you're doing it for business purposes, please just think about, are your keywords that you want to, is it obvious? If somebody looks at your bio, is it obvious what you do? Because if you are very vague in your bio, there's a good chance that nobody's going to be bothered to spend the time to actually go and investigate what you're about. Okay. Sometimes I will follow somebody because their bio is really amusing, but generally I just want to know what their bio is about. I don't necessarily want to feel as I'm going to be sold to, but I want to know who that person is or what that business is about, just quickly and clearly. You have a banner that's behind you, which potentially you can change, which could be a sales promotion behind you, like your banner, your header, it's called. I know different social media platforms call it. Great opportunity to change it out frequently, to put something up to date, to change it about. It gives you a little bit more space to put something. So especially if you've got a promotion going on, or you're launching a new product, or you are local, you're a small business, you're local, you want people to know you're local, a famous landmark behind you is a good way for people immediately to know that you're a local person. And then make sure your photograph you have, I think the best photographs are head and shoulders, smiley face, somebody looking approachable. I tend to have my picture looking at the copy, okay, because there's a little psychological trick that we follow people's eyes. So if we look at a photograph and the person's looking in a particular direction, we look in that direction automatically. So I tend to just have mine so it looks towards my tweets, just to encourage people to read my tweets, okay, rather than pointing away from the tweets, okay. But it's not, if it's a good photograph and it's face on, or if it's on the other side, that's fine. It's not the end of the world if you do that. But those are, I think it's just good to go and check that is obvious. You can change your Twitter handle. I wouldn't recommend changing unless you do it in the early days, okay? But you can change your business name, and you can change it and make it more obvious what your business is about. I also like to, especially for businesses where there are more than one person, it's nice to know who you might be speaking to. So, having tweets by, whoever it is who's looking after your Twitter account, helps people to know that there's a real person that they can talk to and have a conversation with. So those are, in a nutshell, how to optimize your LinkedIn. No, LinkedIn, Twitter, sorry, wrong. Twitter.
No problem at all. No problem at all. So wonderful. So my last question of the day, Nikki, would be, a lot of people, use the social listening tool to understand where their audience are, what are they talking about. If you can throw some light on, how imperative is social listening to your Twitter strategy, and how can businesses use social listening tool to leverage customer conversation? How important is it for businesses to use such tools?
Okay, if you don't listen, you'll never hear what other people are saying, and people are having conversations about your business. I mean, obviously, if you're a small business, you may never, if nobody's talking about you, that's not a good thing. Okay. So it's good to have conversations, but people don't always use your Twitter, the correct Twitter handle. So you want to be able to search at the very least, are people using your name, your company name? Okay, so you want to be able to search for that. You also, if you want to get in with an influencer, or you want to get into a business and you might want to follow a group of people that you know work for a particular company, so you can hear what they're talking about. Now, I would highly recommend that you use Twitter lists. Okay, so you can put people into groups, so you can follow them without necessarily, you can follow the conversation without necessarily following them. Okay, if you want to, and you can make these lists private. So if they're competitors that you want to keep an eye on to see what they're doing, or if it's an influencer that you want to reach out to, but you're not ready to talk to them at the moment, or maybe it's a group of employees or people that you would like to get into business and you don't want your competitors to know with what you're doing, you keep them private. But you can also have them public, because I pay attention. If I see somebody's added me to a list, I go and look at who they are. So I'm immediately curious, because it's about ego. Okay, so I'm curious if somebody puts me on a list. Now, what is useful about putting people on lists is you can then use something like, if you're on Hootsuite, you can pull those lists into a column, so you can actually follow the conversation. Or if you use TweetDeck, which is free, you can set up different lists and follow the conversation in lists. So that you have columns of conversations. So that way it's easier to skim through what people are talking about. And you can also do social listening on keywords. So if there's a particular phrase that you know your customers might use to look for your product, you can do a search for that particular phrase. You'd put them in quotation marks. Okay, so there's something called Boolean search, which we won't have time to go into now, but it's easy to do searches for particular phrases, for particular accounts, and following Twitter lists. And it's so important to pay attention, because then you can interact with people more easily. You filter the conversation, so you actually get a better experience of Twitter than randomly following a large number of people on Twitter.
Wonderful. Thank you for answering that, Nikki. Now let's see what our audience have asked us in the question section. So I'll start with Dennis. I'll start with Dennis. So you will see the question on your screen. So the question is, can this improve a website's visibility on search engine? So talking about Twitter post or the content that we're putting out there.
Okay, what Twitter is really good is every single tweet is searchable by Google. Okay, so quite often when I do searches for certain words or phrases, it will be somebody's tweet that might actually come up as the top search if that person's popular. Okay, so it definitely helps you with SEO. Twitter users are used to going from Twitter onto a website, because you've only got like a short amount of characters, a smaller amount of characters. So if you can drive traffic to, like if you've got a blog that you want to write, or a teaser, you've got a promotion, people are used to clicking from Twitter away from Twitter onto a link. So people do click links a lot more. Whereas in Facebook, they actually hide your visibility if you've got links in them. So definitely Twitter will drive traffic to your website. It will also help you to be found, maybe even in a Google search, if you concentrate on using your keywords when you do tweets as well. So very, very definitely, it can be a very big driver, and that's without spending money. spend money on Twitter. Okay. So that's all free, which I love. Okay. Next question. Only if I've answered that properly.
Yeah, let's move to the next question. It is asked by Brian. Although I'm slight unclear about the question, but still let's read it out. So the question is, what are your opinion about context because audience before content in Twitter? Not sure what he's trying to ask.
Okay, I'm not 100% sure of what exactly they mean.
Yeah,
okay.
but Brian, it would be great if you can rephrase your question. That would be sort of helpful for us to understand and give you the right answer. But still, Nikki, if you were on to take it, yeah.
Content is important. Okay, so, but content needs to be worth sharing. Okay, so it's worth putting information out, even if you schedule certain information to go out so you have a presence on Twitter. Okay, so you can schedule content, but I think it's also important to remember to spend a bit of time having conversations with people, interacting with people, replying to tweets that you see go past. Okay, because that will get you probably more business than just putting content out there. But content will drive traffic to your website, so it's always good if you've written a blog about something. There's no point in it being the best blog in the world if nobody knows about it. So by sharing it, you can get more people to come to your website. So content is good, but I was going to say context is better. But I don't know, Brian, if you can just
rephrase that question.
Rephrase the question a little bit.
Yeah.
It might be helpful. Okay.
Yeah. Let's move forward to the next question. This is asked by Anisha and it's on your screen. It says, how can you use Twitter to optimize sales for a service-oriented small business?
Okay. So again, I think conversations are really important for that. Okay. So service, okay. In fact, I operate as I'm a small business who's predominantly service operated. I think it's being focused on what you want to get out of Twitter and then finding your people or finding people to have conversations with that are relevant to it. So for example, if you do consulting, what type of businesses do you want to consult for? Okay. So if you consulting, let's say about marketing or design, you want to share some content about design. You don't need to necessarily share your own content all the time. People will associate you by sharing good articles as well. And then by sharing good content, people see what you talk about. I would be quite consistent about what I talk about on an ongoing basis. But I would also use Twitter proactively to seek out people who maybe in the Twitter bio show that they work for a particular company. Maybe I've gone and looked on LinkedIn and found a company that I want to work with and found some people who work there and then found their Twitter handles. Okay, I've done that before, where you use LinkedIn as a database, go onto Twitter, find the people, start having conversations, and then maybe you go back to LinkedIn and connect with them there. Okay, so I've done that as a business to business one, where I found people once I'd got and started a conversation. Different people are active on different accounts. So if somebody wants to talk on Instagram, you need to talk to them on Instagram. If they want to talk on LinkedIn, if they never are active on Twitter, there's no point in having a conversation with them on Twitter. But a lot of people are very active on Twitter, so you can actually have a conversation with them.
All right. So let's take one last question, which is in the questions tab. It's on your screen and it is asked by Jordan. He's asking, I am a solo practitioner. How much time per day do I have to spend on Twitter to be effective enough?
Okay, so of course you don't want to spend all day on Twitter, but the thing is that most of us have got, say, 15-minute breaks. Okay, so you making yourself a cup of tea. You could go onto Twitter and just quickly have a quick look at what people are talking about. Twitter is really good for doing in between the times where you get stuck stuck in traffic. I know I'm stuck at home with COVID, but like if you were in traffic or you're waiting for a meeting, there's been a delay, you're on a train, those are very good times to use those times to have the conversations and chat. But what I would suggest as a small business, you want to think about what type of content would be useful and helpful for people that I want to attract, and then schedule some content in advance, okay, so that you've got content going out on a regular basis. It doesn't need to be tons and tons of content, but if you get busy, if you're busy doing things, it keeps you having a presence on Twitter, okay. But you'll be surprised at how many times you have 5 minutes here, 15 minutes there, that you can quickly pop onto Twitter, scroll through, see what the conversation is about, interact with somebody, and those little times can actually make a big difference for your business.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Nikki. So that was the last question of the session that we have had. And that brings us to the end of this wonderful session with Nikki. This was indeed a value-packed session, and I hope everyone enjoyed the discussion. Once again, I would like to thank Nikki for taking out the time and joining us today. Nikki, any last thoughts, any last word that you would like to say to the audience before we say goodbye?
I was going to say, please find me on Twitter and chat to me on Twitter. I'm happy to talk to everybody. I'll go on to Twitter immediately after. So if you've got any questions that I haven't answered or want to ask me anything, I'm happy to talk to you, or anywhere else you want to talk to me. But obviously it's a Twitter session on Twitter. Let's chat on Twitter and see where that takes us. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm sure a lot of people would have tweeted about this webinar and tagged us. So we would surely be retweeting all of them. So absolutely. All right, guys, this is not where it ends. We have a lot more events lined up like this in the coming days. So if you are interested and haven't registered yet, my team member Nidhi is putting up the link of the events page in the chat section, wherein you can find all the upcoming events. Also, to stay updated with events like these, you can follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. You can also give a suggestion on the topics you would like us to cover and speakers you would like us to host. I'm dropping the link of our LinkedIn page and the Twitter page as well in the chat section. To watch this event and other wonderful events that we have hosted previously, you can visit designhill.com/events, or you can also visit our official YouTube channel, wherein we are uploading all the recordings of our past events there. For all the designers and business owners, who wish to be a part of the thriving design community or who wish to build a brand today, visit designhill.com. Lastly, you can follow Nikki on social media. As Nikki just mentioned, you can follow her on Twitter and talk to her there. The link of Nikki's Twitter profile again will be in the chat section. And the thing that I mentioned in the start of the session, the exclusive coupon code that we have for you is CONK15, by using which you can avail a 15% discount on Design Hill contest service. This is an exclusive coupon code for this session only and for you guys only. So make sure you use this coupon code and avail the service today and build your brand. On that note, I would like to say bye to everyone who joined us here today. Thank you so much, Nikki, once again for joining us. And thank you so much again, audience, for joining us. You have been a lovely audience, and hope it was helpful and you enjoyed the session. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Bye.